panel. Matthew Wiz Buckley is a veteran military pilot, and Jim Krieger is a former air traffic controller. Jim, I want to start with you because this Bloomberg report on the scene in that air traffic control tower is striking. The room erupting in panic. First came the curses, then came the tears. Controllers came face to face with their own worst-case scenario. They braced for tragedy and destruction that some worried that they'd be helpless to prevent. This sounds like every controller's nightmare.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Having no radar, no communications equipment, and several aircraft to work at the same time is definitely unnerving and really unacceptable, particularly in light of the fact that this has happened more than one time here at Newark and Philadelphia TRACON, or Terminal Radar Approach Control. Things like that should be a rare event, an anomaly, so to speak, but it's been happening way too often. And as far as how long has this been happening across the nation, as far as having bad equipment is concerned, I would say it goes back decades, decades of administrations.
Wait, are you saying that they've been losing radar like up to 90 seconds? And
it's not always losing radar, but it's just having equipment that's not necessarily the best that we could have and should have for the safest industry in the world.
Okay, Jim, one more question to you. 5 controllers are now taking something called trauma leave. The CEO of United Airlines accused them of walking off the job. Can you explain what this trauma leave is and why 45 days is needed?
Yeah, it's different than walking off the job. The Federal Employees Compensation Act covers all federal employees, obviously, allows for if an employee is involved in a traumatic experience, which losing all your radar and your radio communications with aircraft that are still moving around in the sky, obviously qualifies as a traumatic experience. And so it's available to them. They use it. I heard up to 20%. There's only 24 controllers, and we're talking about 5 people. But it's designed to make sure that they're feeling okay to go back to the job. They saw a 90-second outage, but they had no clue how long that outage was going to last. It could have lasted for 90 minutes as far as they were concerned.
All right, Matthew, this comes as we're already short 3,000 air traffic controllers, and many of those who are still working say they're stretched to the breaking point.
Real quick, Elizabeth, United States Marine Corps, the United States military isn't unionized, and we don't get benefits like that. We see a lot of traumatic stuff, and we don't get 45 days of leave. But Elizabeth, when the FAA was short airline pilots, they raised the retirement age from 60 to 65. Air traffic controllers can retire at 56. So I'm sure some of them, I'm not going to speak for Jim, but I'm sure there's some men and women on the golf course who would maybe even mind coming back part-time. So this is a self-inflicted wound. Let's go back to the technology real quick. I feel you were attacking me because I know what a floppy disk is. That's how old I am.
No, I'm not attacking you. Yeah, I do too.
Exactly. We are using radar technology from the 50s and 60s. And as Jim knows, we got GPS in the late 80s, early 90s, and we're not using any of that. So this is a self-inflicted wound. And I'm just shocked that this doesn't happen more often. And I don't want that to alarm people. But this is going to get worse before it gets better.
And Matthew, according to Forbes magazine, 92% of the FAA's equipment budget is spent on obsolete technology. In Newark's air traffic control tower, not only were they using floppy disks, but they were using copper wire, that's what caused this recent outage. The copper wire burned through. They're not using fiber cables.
Elizabeth, it's very sad, right? And we're not new to this, right? They kick the can down the road. Each administration says we need to do something about it. They never do anything about it. And sadly, you and I have been talking a lot too often about things that go bad, like in D.C. Sadly, it takes something horrific happening to get action. And Jim knows better than anybody, being in those rooms, something horrific could happen, so we need action now.
Jim, some controllers have gone as far as to suggest that, in one report that I read, that it's not safe to fly into Newark. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said today it is. What do you think?
Well, I would say it is safe because obviously we're required to keep it that way. No matter what happens, you have to make adjustments that ensure that any risks that are involved are mitigated.